Brutal Fighter and Project Century both sound promising, but I feel like RGG Studio is forgetting about something. Well, I guess it's not that important. The Judgment series is, in my opinion, by far the best spin-off game that RGG Studio made in the Yakuza series. Sure, we have the amazing historical piece told in Like a Dragon Ishin. Yakuza Dead Souls was surprisingly fun for a zombie game, but the Judgment series is where RGG Studio showcased their beautiful game style so fluidly that it managed to create two games that are so good, you might forget about Sawa Sensei. Yagami's Kung Fu style fits like a glove in the brawler mechanic we all love in Like a Dragon games. Both Judgment and Lost Judgment stories are so compelling that even to this day, people are divided on Yagami's stance on how bullying cases should be handled. Its side games, be it the detective cases or being the school advisor of the MRC, are one of the best ways RGG incorporated their numerous content for quests. So it's kinda bizarre that we haven't seen any reveal trailer or teaser for the third Judge Eyes. What's holding up Judgment 3? Is Ryuga Gotoku Studio planning to surprise us this year or maybe tomorrow by unveiling that they are working on the sequel for Yagami's story? Bearing in mind that we are now annually getting an RGG summit in every Tokyo Game Show, and again tomorrow we'll have a live stream for Like a Dragon. Maybe then we'll know what RGG Studio is planning for their detective noir game. Okay, sure, we've heard nothing about the third Judgment, but that doesn't mean that it's not in Sega and RGG Studios' future lineup, right? Well, let's take these things into consideration, such as their desire for Brutal Fighter to break into competition against Tekken and Street Fighter, and how Project Century will go beyond the frameworks of their studio. Yokoyama-san even teased Kiryu's appearance in future Like a Dragon games. So RGG Studio is open to talk about their future projects, but they haven't mentioned anything related to Judgment 3. This implies that RGG Studio doesn't have the third installment in mind and may not be in any of their future lineups. So what exactly is the reason why RGG Studio is so silent about Judgment 3? But before that though, if you want to see Yagami again in a Judgment game, then Tiger drop that like button and join Otaku Define for more Yakuza and Judgment content.
Time to tell me what you know!
Why we've heard nothing about Judgment 3? Is it their marketability? Could it be that there is no demand for Yagami and his detective adventures? Well, in terms of sales and critical reception, Judgment is a very much successful IP like Yakuza. The first Judgment game sold 148,000 physical copies in its first week in Japan. This game sold better than tissue papers in a pandemic that about 97% of its stock were consumed. It even reached number 3 on Amazon's sales ranking. On top of it all, Judgment is the most successful release for a new IP for the 8th generation of video game consoles in Japan. This record was only broken by Death Stranding. So market-wise, there is a huge demand for more Judgment games, considering that its sequel, Lost Judgment, also performed exceptionally well on sales, selling 145,000 copies in its first week in Japan, topping Famitsu's list of best-selling games. And Lost Judgment actually sold 76 better than Judgment in Europe and North America. So why hasn't RGG Studio announced Judgment 3 if there is an obvious demand for more Yagami and his detective stories? Okay, sure, Judgment did sell, but it was still lower than what the Yakuza brand is able to do. Yakuza Like a Dragon in 2020 sold 300,000 copies in its first week. Then its sequel, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, broke that record with 1 million copies sold in less than a week. Sure, the Judgment series is a very marketable IP for RGG Studio, it's just that the Like a Dragon brand is significantly bigger, and they chose to focus their resources on that instead of making a third installment for Judgment. But is that enough of a reason? As the saying goes, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. A game studio that can develop different kinds of genres is able to survive more than those who are focused on one specific niche. Take Telltales as an example, who made the same type of games. And RGG Studio isn't that kind of developers to settle on what they're used to. There's a much deeper reason why RGG Studio hasn't said anything about the third Judgment. Again, it may be because they are focusing on their main IP, And we really can't blame them for that since Yakuza Like a Dragon is their flagship. Given the fact that Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth was a massive success, it got nominated in multiple Game Awards and even won the Japan Game Awards for excellence. They even have the upcoming Majima game, which I'm so excited to play. Now, Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii hasn't gone gold, that is to say to be printed on a disc or to be digitally distributed, because developing Lad Pirate actually took a lot of time and resources for the studio. And yes, we know that RGG Studio are geniuses when it comes to being resourceful. But recently, a programmer from RGG confirmed what I theorized in my last video. They are indeed redeveloping the Dragon engine as they work on their games. That's the reason why Lad Infinite Wealth looks graphically better than Yakuza 6. In fact, Lad Pirate is already using the 4th generation of the Dragon engine. And when it comes to them redeveloping their own engine, it seems that they are favored doing it when they are working on the Like a Dragon IP rather than the Judgment series. Now, upgrading the Dragon engine isn't just there to benefit the Lad series, but to also work on their new IP, which by now we all know is Project Century. Moreover, it seems that both RGG Studio and Sega are highly invested in Project Century. Yokoyama-san then teased that Project Century is looking to be a game that ignores their existing framework as a studio. So Project Century is not only a new IP, but it will also use a new mechanic and genre that RGG Studio hasn't done. To ensure its success, the studio is allocating all of their resources to turn Project Century into a game series that can attract the Yakuza fans, the Judgment community, and a whole new set of audiences. In short, RGG Studio just doesn't have the time and resources to build a new Judgment title. But the most problematic reason why we've heard zero things about Judgment 3 is that darn talent agency. If you don't know by now, Takuya Kimura, who plays Takayuki Yagami, is a talent of Johnny and Associates. This agency is infamous for restricting a lot of things that RGG can do with Yagami in the Judgment series, such as why we can simply have Yagami singing in a karaoke because that would cost a huge amount of money. So no singing Yagami despite Kimura-san being one of the most celebrated singers in Japan. One of their most notorious acts is that for the longest time they have vetoed the PC port for the Judgment series, citing that the talent agency is afraid of what modders would do to their talent's model likeness. Thankfully, we can now play the Judgment games on PC, given that Johnny and Associates had to change their ways and was forced to be more flexible because of a very serious allegation against them. You see, Johnny and Associates has been involved with serious issues around allegations of exploitation and misconduct by its late founder, Johnny Kitagawa. He passed away in 2019 but faced numerous allegations of forced intimacy with their male trainees, also known as Johnny's Juniors. These allegations were first publicly reported in the 1990s but were not widely addressed at the time due to Kitagawa's power and influence in the entertainment industry. But then, in 2023, multiple former trainees came forward with detailed accounts of coerced intimacy in exchange for an opportunity in show business. Because of this, Johnny and Associates deservedly received widespread backlash and sparked mass outrage across Japan. Several companies cut ties to them, suspending advertising campaigns involving talents from the agency. And Kimura-san, who plays Yagami, is still under the same agency, expressing that he senses a responsibility and commitment to support his juniors during these challenging times. While some advertisers have reconsidered their partnership with Johnny and Associates, now called Smile Up due to the public uproar, Kimura's enduring popularity has led companies like McDonald's Japan to continue featuring him in their advertisements. But it seems like Sega and RGG Studio decided to distance themselves from the talent agency. Now, this doesn't imply that Sega and RGG Studio have cut ties with the agency and Kimura-san, nor does it mean that Judgment 3 won't happen because Yagami won't be returning. We've heard nothing about Judgment 3 because RGG Studio is reassessing the whole situation. And it's not the wrong move, given that they have a lot of future projects on their lineup, and Kimura-san isn't to blame for what happened. Of course, this may all change since tomorrow Like a Dragon will have a livestream, but who knows? In the meantime, RGG Studio decided to move away from the Judgment series for now and chose to focus more on the Like a Dragon brand, making sure that Virtua Fighter can compete with the likes of Street Fighter and Tekken, and putting most of their resources to develop Project Century into another successful game that can stand along with Yakuza and Judgment. But given all of this, can we really have Judgment 3 without Takayuki Yagami? Well, that's another video for another time. In the meanwhile, let's look at the studio that won 2024. Atlus is the biggest winner of the year. If you're curious about that, then check this video out. Join Otaku to find for more Yakuza and Judgment content. This is Math, and stay awesome, my guys.